had 2 scrimmages. So check out the information and the insight, the analysis there on State of the U, because the Canes are on the field, so you can keep up with how the team's progressing right there. Based on what you've been able to gather, Cam, what stands out to you?
Number one, De'Aaron King is that guy. I mean, you got to start there. QB1, wearing number 1. So number 1 in your programs and in your heart. He's a different beast. You know, he just is. Everybody's talked about it. Brevin Jordan has talked about it. Other guys after practice and said, we're looking for a veteran leader to come in and lead this team. And, obviously the coaching staff says, if you come to Miami, we'll give you a chance to be number 1 to be the starting quarterback, and we'll see what happens. But, to a man, they say De'Aaron King came in and he just took it. He just took over the program. He said, this is my team. This is, as I go, we go, I'm going to lead us where we need to be. So that's number 1. You know what I mean? And you have to start there. Apart from that, you just start seeing guys making plays. So obviously, Cam Harris, your starting running back. Behind him, Jalen Knighton and Donald Chaney Jr. Just showing out at running back, both of them true freshmen. I know that Knighton is getting all of the podcasters. I read the comment there. Sorry. Jalen Knighton is getting all the praise and everything because he played in the spring. And Jalen Knighton, the Rooster, is awesome. And he's going to be awesome. But don't sleep on Donald Chaney. That's my personal favorite of the 2 running backs. Again, not saying that I don't like Knighton, because I do. I just think that I like Chaney's size, and he can play. So he's out there making plays. You see these guys in scrimmages out there. Brevin Jordan obviously making plays. Will Mallory stepping up making plays. Xavier Restrepo making play on top of play on top of play. He had like an 80-yard touchdown run or 71-yard touchdown run in the first scrimmage. He scored again in the second scrimmage. My guy, Keyshawn Smith, is taking somebody's spot this year. He has multiple touchdowns across the first 2 scrimmages. He put up the highlight of him. They scored a very long touchdown and then hit the Quan. Him and Xavier Restrepo did the little dance in the end zone after they got loose on that. And you see Albalates Jr. in that video. So there were at least some starters on the field when Keyshawn Smith got loose for, 50 or 60. So he's out there making plays. The offensive line still, progressing, because we're not relying on them to have man-to-man blocking and just hold a guy, not hold, in penalty way, but occupy a defender, so that's going well. Defense, it's just next guy up. Everybody's making plays over there. First scrimmage, offense, I think, got the best of them. Second scrimmage, defense stood up a little bit taller in that, and which is good, because, you want to have a offense that stresses the defense, and likewise, or inverse as well. So you got guys out there making plays, Gervin Hall looking like a guy. Bubba Bolden back from injury, looking like the guy over there. Jalen Phillips, former number 1 overall recruit, now back wearing number 15 since Gregory Rousseau has decided to sit out this season. His high school and early college number, Jalen Phillips, that is. He looks like a guy, 6'6", 260, been timed up in the 20-mile-an-hour range when he was sprinting earlier in camp. Obviously, you got Quincy Roche on the other side making plays. You got these athletic linebackers making plays. You got Bradley Jennings and Wayman Steed coming back from, the cast-off pile of forgotten players, basically, because I figured we recruited over them and we're going to play, Brooks and Huff instead. But boom, you got, those guys stepping up. So you got even more depth at linebacker, I think. Obviously, the cornerback situation still need to see progression there. But, I think that we're taking positive steps. And obviously, special teams, Lou Headley's great. Jose Barragales was a semifinalist for the Grozer Award, and he should be great this upcoming season as well. So, there's a lot to like. Sure, you want to iron out these rotations. Sure, you want to continue, as I knock on my wooden table, to avoid injuries and things moving forward. But there's a lot to like going forward this season. Or at least from the first 2 scrimmages. I think that this week we really should be separating the wheat from the chaff. So really getting that final depth chart kind of look to see, okay, these are the ones and these are the twos, because, you got one more week of camp, and then next week is game week, and you have a short week even. So sometime now-ish, I don't think that there's media availability until Monday-ish for Canes. So I want to say sometime in the very near future, we should kind of get an idea of, who the ones are, who the twos are, and really be on the downhill slope going towards the opener.
Taran, thank you so much for the Super Chat contribution. Taran always in here talking Miami football with us. I don't necessarily understand the question, but we appreciate the super chat. So we'll
No,
I don't get it, because isn't Leonard Taylor an inside player and SHEMAR Stewart an outside player?
Right. No, yeah. But I mean, they're both 5 stars defensive linemen from down here. So basically, if I had to pick one or the other, I guess that's kind of how I interpreted it.
Sure.
If I have to pick one or the other, I'm picking Leonard Taylor because he's closer to the ball. And that's just, for me, that's where the lack of depth on the roster is. So to me, for Miami, a 5-star defensive tackle has higher value than a 5-star defensive end. That being said, if I had to just take them in a vacuum, as in, okay, one player or the other based upon just them and like regardless of position and like a 1-to-1, I'm taking SHEMAR Stewart. He's bigger, faster, stronger, twitchier. Like, I mean, he's a freak. So like a 1-to-1, I'm taking SHEMAR Stewart over Taylor. But if I'm considering usage and things like that, so like what position and everything, then I'm taking Taylor. But let it be known, both of them have a spot on my roster until, you know what I mean? Like, those are guys, and like I talked about it with Taylor, if he would have had a protracted recruitment where it went all the way to the end and we're still with 22 guys here, and I was talking about, oh, you got 24 spots, that guy gets a spot. I will work the math out later. I don't care. Yes. Same thing with SHEMAR Stewart. He wants to come to Miami. I got a spot for him, and I will figure it out. I mean, whether it's a guy, and I mean, look, I had friends who were on the football team at Miami. I had a friend of mine had a half athletic, half academic scholarship. They needed that half athletic to put with somebody else's half athletic to get a full athletic scholarship 1 year. All of a sudden, you call over the student aid office. He has a full academic scholarship. Things like that can happen. I've seen it personally. So if I got to do one of those deals like happened back in the day, I mean, obviously not a Pell Grant kind of thing or like a sneak Santana Moss on a track scholarship kind of a thing, but like if I got to do something like that and take a half scholarship from here and a half scholarship from there to make a full scholarship for somebody else, and then I'm going to do it. But yeah, I mean, yeah, if you're taking into account positioning, I'm taking Taylor. If you're taking just in a vacuum, which player would I rather have with a higher ceiling? It's probably going to be Stewart, who's probably going to be a top 2 player in this recruiting class. You know what I mean? But yeah, they could both be on my roster. Who's knocking on my door? Goodness.
I'll talk if you need to go to the door.
No, you know what? It's probably just one of those Saturday deliveries. Go ahead.
We're talking about 2 of the top 10 players in the country.
Yeah, we're splitting hairs the long way. You know what I mean?